Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Our focus this morning is on the mentoring of young men. We hear in the news about absent fathers and the effect it's having on our young men today. But even when a man has a father he can look up to, it still takes a village of mentors to raise a child. These days, when we look around, we don't see the same community ties and relationships that actually helped previous generations learn the art of being a man. Studies have shown that the lack of a male figure in a boy's life increases the likelihood that a young man will perform poorly in school or get involved in a crime. My first guests are dedicated to making a difference in the lives of young people, and they're great examples for young men to emulate. Muhibb Dyer is a motivational speaker and a community activist. He's a co-founder of Flood the Hood with Dreams and has conducted numerous seminars and conflict resolution workshops for Milwaukee Public Schools. Kwabena, Antoine Nixon is also a co-founder of Flood the Hood with Dreams and a community organizer. He spends countless hours working with kids at MPS, and he's the founder and president of the Milwaukee Urban Entertainment Alliance, known as MUA. Hello guys, how are you doing?
How are you doing today?
I'm so glad to have you here. And the two of you are well-known poets in the city, and your poetry carries strong messages that really cause people to stop and think. So last year, you and several others were selected by Milwaukee Public School Superintendent Dr. Gregory Thornton to lend your powerful voices to help change the lives and the thoughts of young people living right here in Milwaukee. It's the I Will Not Die Young campaign. Tell us more about it.
Well, the I Will Not Die Young campaign, it was basically started, Muhibb was doing a workshop with a group of young men over at, I think the Boys and Girls Club. I can't remember which one. But a young man, we do this session where we say the truth is, and a young man stood up and he said, the truth is, I don't want to die young. Mm-hmm. With that being said, that was the whole process of starting the campaign. That we wanted a slogan that young men can repeat over and over again, that, you know, a mantra that they can have saying, I will not die young. And we wanted to create a campaign effect around it. Mm-hmm. T-shirts, slogans, sayings, chants, everything to almost go hand in hand with the music that they listen to. Mm-hmm. And the other, I guess you would say, negative ad campaigns that speak of dying young. So that was the jump off of the I Will Not Die Young campaign.
Yeah, and it has been very successful. You guys are mentoring young men in how many schools now?
It's 10 schools.
10 Milwaukee Public Schools.
10 Milwaukee Public high schools.
And these are all young men from specific schools who you sit down, talk to, and do different things to kind of tap into how they're thinking and possibly change the way they're thinking. What are a few of the schools that are involved?
Milwaukee Tech High School, South Division, Milwaukee Marshall is involved, North Division is involved. A majority, Transition High School. A majority of the high schools, the traditional MPS high schools, and I would like to just say, to piggyback a little bit about what Kwabena is saying. You know, nationally, they say that 7,000 black males die of homicide in America every year. Mm-hmm. So we firmly believe that, and I'm more than happy to see the president is doing something about it, but we more than we believe that there has to be a cultural change in the United States of America. These 7,000 black males are looked upon as pretty much disposable human beings. They die on the street every night. They're swept into garbage bags, they call them body bags, but it amounts to garbage bags, and they put in cemetery dumping sites. And until we as a whole country begin to come together and look at people in a different way and say that these are human beings, they have purpose, they have significance, and they deserve life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness like the Constitution of the United States says. Absolutely. So that's why we do what we do.
And you mentioned those statistics that are outrageous, and there are also stats that show that a young black male in America is more likely to die from gunfire than was any soldier in Vietnam. And a new report that was just released from the Milwaukee Homicide Review Commission, it found that 40% of the 105 homicides that happened in the city of Milwaukee in 2013 were black men between the ages of 18 and 29. So everything that you've said, it's obvious that something has to be done. So in your experience, what are some of the reasons behind these statistics? Because let's face it, there are people who don't see what these kids see every day, and they really don't understand. They think, well, why can't they just do right? And there are some things that go along with the behavior that you know, we see on some basis. So if you would tell us, what are some of the reasonings?
Well, I'd like to tell a personal story. This was my godson. His name is Preston Blackmere, and he got killed on 28th and Burleigh in 2005, and he was really one of the main reasons why personally we started a lot of our campaigns. Just to tell you a little story about him, when he died, his mother found out that he passed 3 weeks later, and she said so. He never knew his father. So you tell me, if you grow up in a household and your mother does not care about you, and you haven't seen your father, what type of impact would that have on your life? So what I always say is that there's no such thing as bad children. They come from bad environments and bad relationships. And they literally become the product of their environment. So we need to begin to change the circumstances upon which they grow up. And if the parents are not doing what they're supposed to do, then we as a community have to become surrogate fathers and surrogate mothers and surrogate aunties and uncles, and begin to acknowledge the fact that whatever they do does affect us.
Yeah,
affects all of us.
And it doesn't help when you've got the negative influences of music.
Media,
and oh yeah, and then and some of these video games, I think, make children numb to shooting a gun. I mean, they're so real, they're in 3D, and it's just a lot of different things, in my opinion, that kind of play a role in some of the things that we see on a day-to-day basis. And some of the things that you guys do with the kids in your mentoring.
Well, one of the main things we believe is expression. Like you said, why do they do? You got a lot of stuff bottled up inside you. What separates adults from children is when we get angry and we're upset at things, we know we have a cutoff switch, like, okay, enough. But when you're 15, 16 years old and you're going through some of the similarities that Muhibb just spoke about, or the neighborhood you live in, and you don't know how to let it out, you take it out on whoever's close to you. They say we always hit the people that look like us or that's close to us, that we want to get some of this pain out. So what we do is we really focus on expression, art expression, with the spoken word. We do a writing exercise called The Truth Is, where they just take a sheet of paper and a pen and they just fill up what the truth is in their life. We let them talk about where they're from. We do a spoken word contest with them to basically get them the understanding to tell their story. Like, there's a power, a redemptive power in being able to tell your personal story, saying take your mess and making a message out of it. We did the mock funeral to let them get a look at their lives. So we really just try to get them to see the other side. As many options as there are in the community. We even bring men from the community, especially African-American men in the community, to show them an image of, to kill that statement you said about the media. Just, there are men who are doing good things in the community, and it's not necessarily the doctors, lawyers, etc. We bring everyday working men in the community who have families that take care of their families from 9 to 5.
Like the two guys I'm looking at
Yeah, we just try to show them somebody that they can say, a tangible reality. You can touch it. It's not that far-fetched.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned this mock funeral, and this is where you actually brought in a real casket, and you had these kids look at an obituary and said, place your picture here. In that casket was a mirror where when they looked down, they saw themselves. Very powerful, and we have a piece of that video. Let's take a look. Today I feel robbed.
Time to be born and the time to die. The time to plant and the time to pluck up what is planted. The time to mourn and the time to dance. Time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together.
Spit some of them. Not too big, not too small. It fits some of you. So we got a box for you. It's empty. We got any volunteers? Might as well. We got any volunteers? You don't care no more. Might as well. But look at me. Love your life. And you go towards the invitation of death.
I will not die young. Major stuff you guys are doing. And some people describe the plight of black men in America. They say it's a silent genocide because only 45% of black men graduate from high school in the U.S. 45% of black children live below the poverty line compared with 16% of white children. And Wisconsin has the highest number of black males behind bars in the entire United States. With that said, Muhibb, you mentioned earlier President Obama announced recently a $200 million 5-year initiative called My Brother's Keeper to help black youth. He said the idea occurred to him in the aftermath of the killing of Trayvon Martin. He calls the challenge of ensuring success for young men of color a moral issue for our country, which is exactly what you said in the beginning of our conversation. We'll take a look at that video as well.
Today, I'm pleased to announce that some of the most forward-looking foundations in America are looking to invest at least $200 million over the next 5 years, on top of the $150 million that they've already invested, to test which strategies are working for our kids and expand them in cities across the country. And I know you can meet the challenge, many of you already are, if you make the effort. It may be hard, but you will have to reject the cynicism that says the circumstances of your birth or society's lingering injustices necessarily define you and your future. 50 years after Dr. King talked about his dream for America's children, the stubborn fact is that the life chances of the average black or brown child in this country lags behind by almost every measure, and is worse for boys and young men. I didn't have a dad in the house. And I was angry about it, even though I didn't necessarily realize it at the time. I made bad choices. I got high without always thinking about the harm that it could do. I didn't always take school as seriously as I should have. I made excuses. Sometimes I sold myself short. And I remember when I was saying this, Christian, you may remember this, after I was finished, the guy sitting next to me said, "Are you talking about you?" I said, "Yeah."
All right, good stuff. And I'm going to add that after watching that, President Obama also challenged black men to do better themselves. And he said they must not make excuses for their failures or blame society for the poor decisions that they've already made. So I'm hopeful that all of the different things that are taking place and that this is becoming something that all of America is exposed to, that we will be more sensitive to the scenarios that our young people are dealing with. Ironically, you guys did something that I personally find extremely moving. You had young men from the high schools that you work with actually write letters to the president, and I read some of them and I was speechless. Pretty amazing stuff. And you did this before the initiative, right? And it's in a book form on your website. And it's called Letters to the President.
Letters to the President.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, Kwabena was talking about, form of expression. And if you believe that you're voiceless, and you believe that, as if you look at some of the neighborhoods that our boys grow up in, the Garfield, Galena, and Vine, and Center, and Houghton, and Buffalo, and Burleighs of the world, if you grow up in areas like that and you think what you have to say doesn't matter and what you do doesn't matter, then you will move in the world and you will actually believe that you have no significance. So one of the first things that we did in terms of form of the expression is not just give them an outlet that they can write, but tell them that, use your power of your voice to talk to the most powerful man in this country and tell him exactly what you feel. And it was a powerful exercise for them, because we told them to say, look, as long as you don't cuss, be respectful, don't threaten them, don't cuss, right. And you can say whatever you want to say. And I remember one of the kids was saying, Mr. President, while you sit in your comfortable chair, I'm at home sleeping on the floor and there's roaches. Mr. President, have you ever walked to school in fear for your life? I saw my nephew get killed right in front of me. Mr. President, will you do some sort of initiative to help change me? Do you care? And maybe this initiative is one of the answers to their prayers. But I know ultimately it's not just going to come from a governmental program. Like the president said, it is about black males taking responsibility for themselves, but it also is about this country accepting responsibility as well. Because like you said, they say by the time a person is 18, they've witnessed 16,000 murders on TV, simulated murders. So if repetition is the mother of learning and you being conditioned to think that, okay, if I shoot somebody and they drop to the floor, it's a video game, then you playing video games in real life. So what responsibility do we have for that?
That's
the
true.
Media and everybody else.
It's so true. And anyone that's interested can read those letters to the president on your website at IWillNotDieYoungCampaign.com. And we've pretty much run out of time. I could talk to you guys for hours. I want to mention that through your Flood the Hood with Dreams, you come out with a calendar every year where there's poetry and photography, and really you've created a scholarship opportunity for young people through the sale of these calendars, and they can also find out more about that on your website. And Kwabena, we quickly got to mention that you've got a new book here, I Write What I See, and you are originally from Chicago. What's this book all about?
I call it a poetography. It tells my life story from Chicago to Milwaukee, ups and downs, and I just use spoken word and poetry to let people get an insight of my life.
Okay, and they can pick this book up where?
You can email me at inspirator30@gmail.com, but you can pick it up at the, actually it's in the library now.
Oh, good.
You can get it in the library, at the Reader's Choice Bookstore, and at Woodland Patterns. And if they email me, or they can come to Poetry Unplug every Tuesday night and get it.
All right, there it is. Shameless plug there. I love
Shameless
that.
plug. I did it quick.
I'm just very glad that you guys decided to come by and let all of the viewers know about what you're doing to help the young people who live right here in our community. And when we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we'll continue our conversation on mentoring with a representative from 100 Black Men of Greater Milwaukee. But as we go to break, we'll take a look at Muhibb, Dyer, and Kwabena Antoine Nixon. They are the founders of Flood the Hood with Dreams and the I Will Not Die Young campaign. Here's some of their powerful poetry.
You see, I'm the representation of 400 years of the black kids being told they'll never amount to nothing.
Who are you?
I'm the representation of 400 years of the black kids being told they'll never amount to nothing. I'm Emmett Till getting my face beat the size of a basketball because somebody said I whistled at a white lady. I'm 4 little girls in Birmingham being bombed and all I wanted to do was pray.
Okay.
I'm Dr. King giving my greatest speech and I know I'm going to die. I'm Malcolm X in the atom bomb when the bullet's coming but I refuse to duck. I'm Kunta Kinte getting blood beat off my back and I refuse to call myself Toby. I'm struggle. See the price of white ice?
The price of white ice.
The cost of black life.
Cost of black
the
life.
Baby mama.
Baby mama.
The ghetto wife.
Ghetto wife.
Shiny new rims. Brand new Timbs. Players.
Thugs. Drugs. Slugs. Crips. Bloods. The Lord. The folk. The rich. The broke. The crooked. The straight. Decisions. The fate. Trials. Tribulation. Gentrification. We move out. They move in. We sell it out. They bring it in. They drink juice. We drink gin. They build jails. We go in. Prisons, plantations, projects, reservation, public school, holding station, black college campus, Remus education, homicide, genocide, suicide. Holla, holla, when it's gonna stop. Holla, holla, when it's gonna stop.